My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And you know what time it is? It's time for another hit list, baby! Hit list, hit list, hit list. We love the hit
Sky.
list. With Sky! With special guest. Sky, the person who's usually here anyway for our regular episode. She's here for a hit list. For anyone who's never seen a hit list before, this is a little thing that Jessie and I do where every once in a while, usually every month or other month or so, we watch a show that's a little more on the violent horror side, and the other two ladies on the podcast have usually minimal interest in watching it with us, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So, you know.
You can't stop us.
But
here we are.
This month, very special, because last month we did an episode on how much we all love Lee Dong Wook. And then, like a gift from the heavens above, if I believed in that sort of thing, he said, ladies, I'm going to gift you a violent assassin show. Starring
and it's going to come out literally when you do that episode. You're like,
thank you.
Sir, you thought of us. And that is the show A Shop for Killers, which came out on January 17th on Disney Plus or Hulu, depending on where you be located. I'm in Canada, so I watched it on Disney Plus. They're in America, they watched it on Hulu. That's how these things these things work. It's an 8-episode show. So very compact. And oh boy. Now, we watched the entire thing. So, this episode will contain spoilers for the show. So, if you have not watched the show and you plan on doing so, you can pause this episode and come back after you watch the show.
We'll see you in like 8 hours.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, exactly. We'll see you in 8 hours once you binge the whole
You have 8 hours to watch it. Go.
Yeah, go. And then you can come back. Or if you were just never planning on watching it because it's not your type of show, but you just like hanging out with the podcast, well, we're going to tell you about it. So it's it'll be like you've watched it spiritually, you know?
Like osmosis.
Yeah, exactly. We'll let it seep over you. So yeah. Shop for Killers. Not killer shopping list. Easy to mistake. Very different show.
But
based on a novel written by the same author as the novel that Killer Shopping List was based on.
And there is a kid who's in this show who is also in the other one.
But
for like a cameo.
No, he was very much in the other one.
Oh, he was? I thought he was just character. I haven't watched it. They just said cameo.
He was not the same character. He was a very different character in that show, which is why I was like, oh, that's fun. Like, because I initially thought, oh, maybe it is the same character and that show takes place after this show. But then I very quickly realized, no, he's just a different person altogether. Because, like, he, spoiler alert, did not make it to the next show, if you get my drift. Anyway, this show, wild show.
The premise was even different than what I thought it was going to be. Like, based on, because I kind of knew the description, but either I misread it or I didn't quite understand.
The description, it's like purposely being misleading. Because, like, even when I, like, read the description, like, on my drama list, and then I think it was, like, Netflix, too, it was very, like, weird, and I was like, I don't know if I would, like, describe it this way, but also, you're not giving anything, so maybe I would describe it.
Like, they don't, like, I feel like going too deeper into a plot would have given away too much plot, you know?
Right, but I do think that the little I knew, because I don't think I had read, like, my drama list description, but I think what I had, like, kind of the stinger description, like, probably from not Netflix, but probably just from Hulu or something. For some reason, I thought, like, I thought the main lead girl character knew everything from square one. And And so I thought like they had maybe worked in the shop together and like la la la, and so like then we would be starting from that point. So it was very different than what I thought, because that's what I thought we were dealing with.
But oh no, she knows as much as we do going like into this.
Completely different than you were expecting as well.
So we follow this poor girl in her 20s, Jian, who it starts out with her basically having to go identify her uncle's body because he committed suicide. And then having to plan his funeral. And then you find out about, you know, their backstory of like why she lived with her uncle and how he was kind of a weird dude and she had a really weird relationship with him. Not like an inappropriate weird, but like, okay,
it was
like
just
it's inappropriate in certain ways, but not in any like
inappropriate in like this person's really not like taking care of a kid correctly. No. But like not like
gross
nefarious.
Or anything. Not nefarious, yeah. Like he does genuinely love his niece as his niece.
Mm-hmm.
But he was not cut out to be a parent.
No, which is why he never had children, because he was not the guy to have them.
But things happen, so
things happen, and so there she begins. And then after the funeral, she's at home with her friend from school, like from high school and from elementary school, who has been helping her. And it's like, she gets like a bunch of weird texts about like, you owe me money, I already wired like this millions of dollars, and she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he's like, well, let me just look at your uncle's computer, like we can figure this out, because her uncle ran like a agricultural hose business, like supply business. She was forklift certified. This is important to know.
Really
for a lot of, despite what you think, an important plot point of this show is
really
that
comes
she
back.
is forklift certified. So then he logs in. He's a computer science guy, and he logs in to her uncle's computer and is like, whoa, like his website is like a shell website. Like it's a front. Like there's actually another website like hidden beneath the website. And they go into it, and that uncle be selling not hosiery, if you get my drift. He's selling guns. He's selling bombs. He's selling poisons. He's selling cleanup
and he has a really cool
things.
Category system, which I just thought was lovely.
And you have to be like specially invited to purchase things from his shop. And she's like, oh, this is fucking, like, what is going on? But before she has enough time to, like, remunerate about what's going on, a lady knocks on the door and is like, hi, I'm here to teach your uncle Chinese. And she's like, I don't know you. Like, please go away. And the lady's like, this is okay. Like,
right after she got a text saying, I will come kill you.
Yeah,
like someone just threatened to take her life. So
yeah, this lady's like, I'm your uncle's Chinese teacher. And she's like, why does my uncle have a Chinese teacher? Like, I'm pretty sure he already speaks Chinese. Like, and the lady's like, yeah, because of me. I teach him Chinese. She's like, okay, what's going on? And then very shortly after that lady shows up, suddenly a bunch of dudes are there, and they're there to kill. And then she's under siege, and her friend from school and this random Chinese lady are now inside the uncle's house, fending off from a bunch of soldiers of fortune, essentially,
and drones
and robot and like gun
sharpshooters,
robots, snipers. Like they're there to kill, and that's just the first episode. Like that all happens in 50 minutes. Like we've done all of that in one 50-minute episode. And then it goes on from there, where the show basically flips between her trying to survive a night of assassination attempts, and then also the background of her slowly remembering things in her past that her uncle did that had been secretly training her for this exact moment right now. And the uncle is played by Lee Dong Wook, obviously. Like,
the
What a
most
show.
tired, burnt
So
out
tired.
looking.
he
Yes.
looks like he needs a
Dude.
nap this
Does need
entire
a
show.
nap.
Every time you look at him, he just
just
has an
needs-
air of like
A cup of coffee.
bone
To be able just
tired.
to sit down on the couch and read and do
Like-
nothing else.
Yeah, he's like, listen, he doesn't want this.
Which cracks me up because, like, normal Lee Dong Wook kind of has a
Kind
little
of.
bit of that going on,
Yeah.
but it's not the bedraggled,
No, it's
like,
the
haggard
I'm too old
look.
for this shit. But
I just want to
Yeah.
always be like asleep. That's it.
Ugh. So, what was everyone's like first impressions of the show upon watching the first couple episodes?
I loved it. Like, loved it. I wasn't expecting to love it as much because it's very action heavy.
Yeah.
But they give so much background, even on like some of the shooters who like literally have one line. You get a feeling of who they are as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not never talked about again, or they die instantly or whatever. And it like, I was really surprised that we got that level from a lot of the people that were there.
I think it's actually quite clever that they did that, because then it leads you to this impression that either that anyone, no matter how much of their backstory you've become invested in, could die at any moment, which raises the stakes for every single character you meet on the show, which is very, very good writing and acting.
I will say, I only had I loved the show completely, but I only had one critique that I would have maybe changed, but like I found it fascinating still, but it was a whole episode. So pretty much what happened was, through the episodes, they were doing the bits of the backstory, just filling in, like, you know, when she was way younger, and then, you know, how the uncle came to take care of her, and all these things, right? And then there was, I don't remember which it was later on, but there was like a singular episode that pretty much did that again.
But from
Like,
his perspective instead of
From
hers.
his perspective.
Yeah.
So it was interesting still. I'm not saying it was boring, but to me, as the watcher, already the first time around, for a lot of that from her perspective,
It gave you all you needed to know.
It gave you enough that even though you maybe, because she was maybe behind a corner and didn't see something, still the audience like filled in the blank enough that I didn't necessarily need to see him.
I think they should have
I'm
combined
fine with the
them.
violence of it. It didn't bother,
Yeah.
like, it was totally fine. It was just like, usually we had already filled it in. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, I do agree. I generally like stories where you see a scene from one person's perspective and then you see it again from another, but I do agree with you that in this one, it's like, for example, there were bits of it, like, small spoiler here, where she as a child crawls into a morgue locker and you only hear her. So you don't see what happens outside the morgue locker from her perspective. That makes sense to show
Yeah, and it
what
manifests
he's
like
doing.
wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Or
like,
coyote,
a
whatever
lot
they
of the
cut
things,
it
like,
as.
it
Yeah, the
re-showed-
hyena thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, a lot of it's like it could have been filmed a little more different to show more of a context from his point of view instead of
I feel like
showing hers. Yeah.
It was definitely like the scenes with her, even when she was younger, you still saw so much anyways that like that flip. However, I do like the way that we like went back, like
Came back to it, yeah.
especially when we went like all the way back with Lee Dong Wook's character and then like did everything to like when he came back into the lives of his brother and his sister-in-law and the like I really liked
all
that
a lot.
kind of like ramp up into the like his side of things and getting like that before. That was like a really cool way
for sure
to set up the episodes.
Had I been watching as the episodes dropped, I probably would have appreciated the look back a little bit more too. When you're binging
maybe,
it,
like,
it's like I literally just saw that.
Literally,
that could have been why it didn't bother me as much, because I was watching it every week.
Yeah,
like as it was airing.
But I think that's contextually, like, if you were watching it as it was airing, I think that it really would have been a fresher take for me. But when I was like, I just saw this like 3 hours ago.
Yeah. I think it's like you see the first bit in like episode 2 or 3 and the second bit's episode 6. So it's like that would have been a few weeks. Like,
and it would have been a good reminder of how the emotion behind it and things like that. So,
but what I did enjoy about it is that since you find out more about what happened before he ended up in his family's bit, because all she remembers is the day he shows up, you get why he thought it was okay to show up into his family's bit. Spoiler alert, it's because he worked with a psychopath that he thought was dead.
Yeah,
but
under an organization.
Yeah,
like...
under a mercenary band, as it were.
Yeah.
And I want to say, they really built up this, like, character's name, like, pretty much this major character they had built up so long. The big bad. And they even had, like, a secondary bad, which you kind of figured out, like, was this commander guy.
Yeah.
And so, like, at first you think it's him, it's like, no. And so then when they finally showed the actor that was playing Bale, I was like, oh no, this guy is unhinged. Because he's always unhinged. Yeah. Anytime he shows up, he is nuts.
Yeah.
Because because he's pretty, like, he'll look suave,
he's very
and he'll
pretty.
do suave stuff, and then he can do crazy eyes really good.
Like, when I tell you the unhinged shit they had him doing in this was
he didn't
insane.
blink.
No.
Did you see that he didn't blink? And before this, I like was reading some articles like with like Lee Dong Wook and stuff, and like interviews, and he said he didn't realize it while they were filming that he did this, and now he like is watching back and he's like, oh, he really didn't do that. And then they're like, they were asking him if he was like had his like motivation. He was like, I think it was just like a motivation in his head, and he didn't tell anybody, and it just did it.
And it really sold the character as being as just psychopathic. Because when I say psychopath, I mean actually like mentally a textbook.
Yeah, he doesn't absolutely
have like a stereotypical psychopath.
When you're around mercenaries and everyone has varying levels of okay with certain things, and you're above and beyond doing all types of shenanigans that none of them are okay with, you're gone.
But then
you're just way far.
What I thought that was actually very clever, because it seems like he would be so over the top, right? And that no one would follow him. But then you slowly see why people would side with him over Lee Dong Wook's character, because Lee Dong Wook was essentially their commander, but they all sided with this guy. And it is because he's so fucking terrifying that if you don't want your family murdered, like, you gotta, like, Lee Dong Wook's guy's not gonna go murder your family unless provoked. But this guy will do it just because he's cool. Yeah, like, he'll threaten.
He just literally wants to see the blood. Like,
and he did, like, there's this, another mini spoiler. There's this, like, one scene where basically I don't know what they're doing. They're, like, blowing up a drug dealer's mansion or house. And there's basically these human trafficking victims. And this is where you truly see, like, previously you watch this guy shoot a kid and you're just like, damn, like, this guy's a little off. But it's like, okay, like, maybe he was just, you know, genuinely thought this kid was a child soldier or something. So it's like, okay, like, reprehensible, but the plot must go on. But at this point you have these clearly human trafficking victims begging for help, and he just throws a grenade and explodes them while watching, unblinking, through a prison door cell. And you're just like, shit. Like, this man is... What?
Well, and here's what
You don't see that, it doesn't show them explode.
I just want to be specific about, like, why this was even shown and stuff. Like, it's because Lee Dong Wook's character was given the chance to speak up after the first instance of this guy doing something reprehensible and bad, and he was really at war with himself with what he should do, and he ended up kind of letting the guy off the hook a bit. And so then when he saw this second horrifically reprehensible thing, he immediately knew it was partially his fault because he let this guy get away with the first thing that happened. And so there was, as far as like why this was being shown, like in such detail, there was reason. It wasn't just showing brutality for brutality's sake.
And I just want to point out, it doesn't show these women being blown up, okay? It's like filmed from just, you see his face watching.
But like you also like need it because like even at like the first level, it wasn't at this level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you needed to like see like squarely because everybody in the room had killed multiple people anyways, like everyone already. So you needed to see this person like be like so much farther above and beyond where it's conceivable that all these people are super trained and would still be scared of him, but like also be like, oh, this is a level that I'm not even going to do.
Because
and
it's
I have like lots of people that I've killed.
Like they were, you know, killing like drug dealers and other mercenaries, and it's like that was fair game, and it was only business, right? It was that was.
But like also
job.
like they were killing people without question too. Like so like they made in their heads how they like conceptualize and try to like be okay with the fact that what they were doing. Were like, okay, these are bad people that need to go away, but they never actually knew that, and they knew they didn't know that, so they knew that they were probably killing people who were not supposed to be killed there. Like they're still like terrible people, but like he just needed to be at a level that was just even far surpassing what you could expect from any of the
reprehensible
members.
That even someone who kills people for a living was like, whoa, man.
And like, what episode was this? I mean, it was past the halfway point of the show, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like episode 6.
It was the turnaround to get back into like Lee Dong Wook's, so 6 or 7.
I think it was 6 because then like 7 and 8 are the like conclusion.
Like I feel like they didn't give a true half of the series to his stuff, but it was close to it.
Yeah, it was.
I want to give a huge shout out to Kim Hye Joon's character, Min Hye.
So cool.
Which is the chick, the Chinese tutor, quote unquote. Chick.
Chinese tutor,
Who, out of the, like, pretty quickly out of the gate, you're like, oh, she's an operative of some sort. Like, what's this? Yeah. Oh, like, she had something with the uncle. Like, you just kind of wonder. And then it's like, and then they show the backstory and how she came to be in his life and things like that. And it's like, oh, she's like really super impressive. Like, a very fascinating character. And the things that she, like, first of all, the actress. Oh my gosh. Like, she did such a good job. And I'm sure she didn't do, like, every last stunt ever. No. You know, because you have stunt people. But still, the things that she did were amazing. So, like, I just want to give a huge shout out because, like, I went and I looked up her stuff, and she not near as much as I would assume based on like the level of acting and action stuff that she did. Like, really cool. Yeah, like quite a few movies, but mostly as like bit parts and support roles, and then just one guest role in a single other TV show. That's it. And you're just like, what? Also, just want to say she's one of us. She's 36 years old, so she's not even, you know,
that's like, not one of us. What have you do?
Around-ish of us. So yay for, but like, listen, you know what happens as soon as a woman turns 30 in the entertainment world. Suddenly she's an assassin. There you go. She's a grandma, but no, like, she was so cool. But I do gotta shout out Park Ji Bin, who was the actor who was in both Shop for Killers and Killer Shopping List. Not playing the same character whatsoever. Okay, I just need you all to know, was not his character in Killer Shopping List. Very different character. Because every one of these shows, this is another spoiler coming for anyone. And every sort of show like this, you need to have the twist, right? Where the character that you think you trust suddenly is like, surprise, I was bad all along. And a pretty big surprise where suddenly he's like, you know what? Actually,
Actually, I want to kill you.
I've been working for the assassins the whole time, under the guise of my hacking, but
so
also
when there
not
was
working
that,
for them.
but then an additional level of I also was one of your bullies when you were a child.
And you never knew.
Yeah, and I was a child as well.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's like
that broke my brain. Like, I was not ready for that.
The way that you're introduced to him as a child is like she gets locked. She had like selective mutism after her parents' murder, and the attack upon her, which she ended up in the hospital mute. And so she was bullied, but one guy was nice to her. And then she gets locked into the basement after hours of like the school, and no one comes to help her, but one guy goes and gets her uncle to come get her out because the bullies locked her in. And so ever since then, like, she was nice. And then because of that, the uncle then hires him to like help out at the later on in life at the hose supply store. Because he remembered that he was the one who came and got him when she was locked in the basement of the school by bullies. Yeah, he was the one who locked her in. Mm-hmm. It was him secretly. And he was like, but wasn't that a good thing? Because then you started talking again. So really, I'm the hero of this whole story. And
his character is so... wow.
Just wacko.
Yeah.
Just absolutely wacko. Crazy. And what I sort of like about that is that you can tell that he's also a sociopath. Like, but he just doesn't have the skills to murder someone.
Yeah. He's a little too actually, like, dumb also, because he was very clearly, they chose him because they were like, you're so easily manipulated.
Yeah.
Like, you are a psychopath, but, like, you are dumb, and I can, like, do whatever. And also,
you're
like,
good
if you
at
die,
hacking,
you
but that's
die.
it.
Like, you're not good
and
at
also,
things, so, like,
if you
whatever.
don't do it, I'm gonna kill you. And so he's like, well, I don't really feel like dying, so I guess I'll join the assassin band to take down.
And then he like falsely believes that like they think he's better than he actually is too. And I guess helps him a little bit.
And the main girl is like, you know that you're just expendable, right? Like you're not like, gonna get away with this. Like, it's not gonna work.
What I really sort of love about this actor is, with a few exceptions, every time I've seen him in a show, he's been like the surprise killer. So every time I like watch a show, I'm just sitting there waiting, right? Where I'm like, okay. So it's like, if you've never seen this actor before, you're like, oh, he seems so, because he has real baby face. Like real,
because he was a child actor too.
Yeah, like real sweet, earnest looking dude. Okay, like not a big guy, like really small, slim build, like little dude. And so it's just like every time I've seen him in something, it's like he was the killer all along. Like it's just sort of like not every time, okay? But I don't want to be spoiling other shows that may be related to this show. But as soon as he showed up, I was like, okay, like, you seem nice now.
Well, it's also one of the things you're like, oh, everybody is just, like, randomly showing up, and then she's getting, like, just, like, her house is, like, Swiss cheese full of bullets.
And, it would have been more Swiss cheese, but you find out through those backstories that he's been modifying the house the whole time.
And he's been telling her, he's like, this is good. This is a great thing to have here. And she's like, it looks bad. And he's like, it's good. It's steel.
Don't worry about it. You should always remember this series of numbers, this random, your student ID. You should always memorize the numbers on your IDs for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Like, it's a really fun show in that sense, where it's just like,
it's also very sweet. Yeah, that, like, he did it that way, too, because he could have just, at a certain point, been like, hey, this is what it is. But he was, like, trying to keep her in, like, at least, like, semi, like, normal, even though he was not a good parental figure, but, like, he tried his best. Like, oh my gosh, the scene where, like, she figured out if she needed something, she would put up a note on the refrigerator, and then he would replace it with the money. So she'd be like, "I need this for swimming lessons," and then
the money would appear.
backed it up.
Then I think, I mean, I wasn't able to translate the money, but I think she figured it out, and she was asking for a little bit much money near the end for castanets. And then he just gave her castanets taped up. Like, he was like, "I'm not giving you that much money for that."
I get it.
I also had another favorite character, and that was his best friend, his Thai best friend.
Passon?
Oh my gosh.
Passon,
yes.
Who was just like a dude with a face tattoo, just chilling, this Thai guy, and then who worked at the hose warehouse, who knew Muay Thai, and then she thought she was so clever going to him to secretly learn Muay Thai. And
it's because she had a bet with the uncle that if she could hit him, she would be able to like leave and live on her own. And he kept on like blocking every time her attempt.
And so like clearly you very quickly figure out that the uncle knew, like, had asked him to teach her Muay Thai, like, but this is you know, but like he was such a delight because he was just like, yeah, man, like, what do you? Yeah, sure. Like at every scene, he's just like every time you see him, no matter how high stakes, he's like has an air of lounge to him. Like
he really does.
He's lounging at every opportunity. He is conserving energy by just leaning against like things and lying
character.
Down.
Like you see on like NCIS or something where it's like they like spent so many years being in like the special secrets like things and doing all these crazy things, and now they're just like on some beach in a Hawaiian t-shirt like, drinking like the mixed drinks, and then they're pulled back in to the like life to go like undercover again.
Like, like he was so fun. Like just, and then there's like another character that you meet like probably episode 3 or 4, who's been living in her basement the whole time
for years,
over
10 years,
for like since the entire time she's been living there. This kid has also been living in her basement that she didn't know about, and it was basically like his old partner was a mute man.
I loved that character so much.
Yeah.
I wanted a lot more of him.
Yeah. And so he was like a deaf mute who was taking care of his.
Deaf.
I don't know if he was deaf. He was anyway. He talked in sign. He talked in sign.
But also, like his brother, there was a family member who was also
that's the guy in the basement.
Yeah,
who was very clearly like autistic and socially inept. And so he was taking care of his brother, who then, after he meets an untimely demise, Lee Dong Wook's like, you can come live.
I thought he was also, because he was signing for most of his.
Yeah, because he was signing to his brother.
Okay.
Yeah. But he also has no social abilities. And
he's just like living in a.
And he's like, I like living in the basement.
He's
with
like,
the guns.
it's cool.
I have been running this operation. Like, I'm integral. And he's just so weird, but like endearing. And he's like, listen, this is the operating manual. And then you had me hand her like a phone book and it's like, please read it so you know how this thing works. And she's like, they're trying to kill me. She's like, they're always trying to kill you. Come on, hurry up. I'm just going to put my little baklava on because I don't like the sun touching me. And I'm going to, go up and awkwardly throw a grenade. And be the only person with the sense of self-preservation to wear a bulletproof vest in this entire freaking show. He was delightful. I'm like really not familiar with the actor who played him. like he's not even in the like top. And like they had him looking like I can't even identify in this list who he was.
He was pretty covered.
Yeah. I think he was Lee Tae-young. I think that's who. Yeah. Yeah. Lee Tae-young, who was apparently in one episode of My Dearest.
Oh, okay.
So that's fun. And was in Little Women.
There were a lot of people in that.
Yeah,
many people.
By the way, every single one of his roles has been bit part, guest role. Bit part, guest role. But clearly he has been waiting for his moment to shine. And he did in this show as the basement dwelling.
So I want to give a shout out to a little small role character that I liked. The driver of the bus.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because when he popped up the first time at the funeral, and he was like super polite, professional, but it's like, oh, this is the guy from Moving. You're the huge guy from Moving. I know you. And it's like, and I was like, you're gonna show up again because you're huge. There's no way that you're not gonna show up again. And it's like, sure enough, he showed up again.
So you're asking yourself, wow, it was screenwritten and directed by the same guy, Lee Kwan, and you're asking yourself, what other absolute bangers has this guy been involved in? I'm here to tell you, he's been involved in 2 absolutely incredible shows that are incredible for 2 wildly different reasons. He directed Shut Up Flower Boy Band.
Oh!
But you know what else he directed? Exo Next Door, baby!
I could never
in a million years have thought that was what the drama I was about to say was gonna be. Never in a million years.
Maybe do you think that inspired the Weird Brother character?
It might have.
The Weird Brother character, I see it!
Faye Hunt and the Weird Brother character, yes! He also directed Save Me Too. And, but yeah, when I saw that, I was like, this man is a genius of our time. Clearly.
The classics.
Yeah, only the classics for him.
Only the classics.
Especially because before Shut Up Flower Boy Band, it was Attack on the Pinup Boys.
Which is the Super Junior movie. Like the terrible Super Junior movie, yeah. Listen, he's said what he needs to say with his art. Like, you can find his artistry. Like, miracles exist where those who have eyes to see.
He has
like,
range, okay? Range.
He's doing something for everyone. He's expanding his skills. Yeah. He's learning new things.
He's not a one-track director.
No, absolutely not. But I love that, like, that those are his, like, because since he also wrote this, that means that he had to shop it himself, right? Like, he had to go find someone to make this. And usually, like, when you do that, they look at other things that you've made. And so the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm standing by...
Disney, give me money.
I'm standing by EXO Next Door, and money, please. And they were like, you know what?
Look at the numbers. Look at how many people watch it.
Look at how many people watch EXO Next Door.
How many people still talk about EXO Next Door?
Look, it's streaming still.
Just putting that out there. Putting it out there.
So like, one thing I want to emphasize about this show, though, is like, it's actually extremely heartfelt. Like, so even though, yes, there are some very heavy action scenes, probably every episode, but there's also a lot of heartfelt stuff. And so, like, I really loved the writing. It was great.
Yeah. It was also co-written by Ji Ho Jin, who doesn't have very many credits. Just a drama from 2018 called When Time Stopped, and an upcoming drama called Influenza. So, who knows? Like, it's Influenza. Seems like it's doesn't have an airing date, but it appears that it is a zombie show. So that's interesting.
Okay. Break that down.
All right. But yeah, like, the cast of this is so good.
What I will say, I really want to say this because I truly believe Kim Hye Joon is the main lead. She is the series lead. It's not Lee Dong Wook's character.
No. Absolutely not.
Despite the fact that she's not labeled as such anywhere you go. And not even just because it's like
about
Lee
her.
Dong Wook. Like, it is about her. She is the main person. And she is, despite the fact that we get, like, these flashbacks of, like, how she, like, was with her uncle and what he did, she's still the majority of the fighting, the majority of the lines of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, like, incredible for a show like this. And the incredible that she could, even this, like, far into her career, like, hold her own against Lee Dong Wook. Like, they were great together in their scenes together.
Like, the first thing that I ever, like, remember noticing her specifically as an actress in was actually in Kingdom, where she played the queen. And she was so evil in that. So good. And she was also the villain in Inspector Coup. So she's got, like, these nice villainy roles. She was also in Connect.
And she was also in this, like, one of her first roles, this very, very tiny GL that's super cute that you can find on YouTube called Lily Fever.
So you love to see it. You love to see it. But, like, she was absolutely excellent in it. And just...
And I mean, she was doing a lot of her, like
it's very physical role.
And stuff. Yeah. And she talked about it. She went to a full-on training camp to do stuff, and then, like, later on she would do Muay Thai with the actor. Like, they would go off and do stuff, you know, and train really together. Cool. But she did a lot of the stuff on her own.
Yeah. Which is
just incredible.
I wonder if she actually got forklift certified, because she done be driving that forklift. There's a scene where she does try to murder someone with a forklift, which is...
she also tries to, like, murder Lee Dong Wook. Not with really, a forklift. But, like, she's very angry at him, and it's a teenager, so, like...
She's hormonal, she's going, she's going through puberty, don't worry about it. But no, she's everyone in this cast was putting in their A game, and I love when you can see that, especially for a show like this, because I feel like shows like this in the drama watching community, people don't really want to watch for various reasons. Like, maybe they don't like violence, that's fine, or maybe I've seen some really bizarre takes online where people are like, I don't like Americanized shows, as though Asian shows have never been about violent things. Like, it's not like they invented martial arts movies or anything.
Old boy.
It looks that way.
So I'm just like, wow, I didn't know that a show written, directed, starring Koreans was an American show. Set in Korea was an American show, but you go off, I guess. You clearly know something the rest of us don't. I'm being a little mean towards the Twitterers. But
I wish to drag out a little bit of Soapbox for a second.
All right, Soapbox away, Sky. We love Sky soapboxes.
Let's look up.
I got spoiled for this show.
Oh, yeah,
in
me
like
too.
0.2 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was absolutely zero reason for that. And on top of that, and okay, I guess I'll be spoiled on social media. I should have said that part. Spoiled on social media, which tag your effing stuff, people. Like, I swear,
it's not hard.
It just came out.
It's not hard.
Like, do not assume that the moment it drops, everyone can watch it then. What on earth? Anyway, but I have to say, even if I hadn't saw that spoiler, honestly, as far as the way I understand it, I could have guessed that. I could have guessed. To me, it was all obviously, or a lot of it, was obviously a setup. Very
so let's
intentionally
this is the very biggest spoiler of the entire series, which is that he's not dead the entire time.
He faked his suicide.
Yeah.
Which you find out, well, like, listen, okay, I'm gonna be real. I I figured that out probably about 4 episodes in. I was like, yeah, this man's not dead.
So,
but
I didn't clock it because I already knew going in because I was already spoiled at start of me watching show
that's annoying.
That's where I was.
Yeah, that was what we were spoiled.
So, but like, I could have guessed it because of the fact that she barely looked at the body to identify him. Not even close. Like she didn't. It was like so like passively, and like I was like, that seemed a little bit odd. That like that wasn't a thing. And then like you can be like, yeah, this type of show is set up to have that be the reveal. But like still, the show should have told me, not some person on like Twitter.
I would have enjoyed thinking it through myself without having that specific information
delivered by someone else, because that's a real douchey thing to do. Please tag your shit. It's not hard to do. In fact, it's incredibly easy to do.
And like, okay, it's one thing when you're talking about an obvious rom-com where there's a main couple and they eventually kiss, which like obvious.
Yeah, we know. Like,
but when you talk action, thriller, mystery stuff, do not fucking do that with anything.
Sky's swearing she means it. She means business.
It ticks me off.
Yeah.
This show was actually set up where you could have it conceivably not have him show back up. He be actually dead because of the fact that like Lee Dong, you know, like you knew like Lee Dong Wook has to be in this for a very like big part because it's Lee Dong Wook, but he was in it all the time because of the flashbacks. So it was conceivable that like he could have not been
even
or he could have been dead.
And even though like I think the way like I think the uncle constructed a lot of the like letting the hacker kid get away with some stuff, you know, like it's kind of obvious that machinations happened.
Yeah.
But like still the way it went, things could have gone awry with his plan and he could have come back. Like as far as his plan could have been to come back and then...
Yeah, or you could have, like, you know, made it like you found out that he literally did sacrifice so that the niece had a fighting chance.
Because I'm feeling a season 2.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely...
Yeah.
Bale is not gone.
No.
There's no way.
Of course not. There hasn't been, like, any official things. I know that for a fact, as I searched. But I think it's in discussion. But so who knows what that will be.
Because I had kind of assumed the reason the uncle, like, disappeared himself and all, you know, like, allowed some of these things to happen was because he was gonna have to go take care of business. And then they never show... I was like, okay, so we're just gonna get, like, here he be. I'm like, okay, that wasn't enough.
Okay.
And that means that Bale's still kicking it, and that's
there
not
was a second part of the book series. I don't know if it like actually went out, and the like description was like following her in college, or like I guess that moment right before where because she wasn't in college for very long before she had to like go and like identify the uncle.
It didn't even feel like she'd really started classes that much, did she?
No. It didn't. So I don't know like how close it is to the book that like it could be conceivable that book 2 could be the second season, but
so there wasn't much of a soapbox. I just think that people shouldn't spoil stuff.
Yeah. I will say that it ends in it doesn't have to have a second season.
No.
Oh yeah.
But
like it really just like
it really,
I would enjoy
to me it felt like it built
season,
to me, but to me it felt like it built, and it was mostly because they built up that Bale character so much and spent so much focus on even just relationship between Lee Dong Wook's character and Bale. Like, and since there wasn't a conclusion specifically with that, that's why I was like,
and technically she did say, hey, I'm starting a business again. I'm just going to take over the family business. And
that was all really cute.
Family business.
She's like, listen, stop trying to kill me.
Good for her.
All of them are like, yeah, we're just doing it because of the money, you know? Say something.
Listen,
she's smart.
Don't worry about it.
Your shop was really good. I really needed it, so I don't really want to not have that as a resource. So okay, I'll go. But then also she's like, you know, beheaded the one guy and just like tossed him out. And
She was
happens.
done.
She was like, "You've broken me. You've broken me.
I did this, so maybe you don't want to try to kill me." And they're like, "Maybe."
Oh,
we
you
don't.
thought my uncle was bad? He was chill.
You thought because I was this young
compared
and a
to
female
me.
that I wouldn't do stuff? Okay. I'm like,
He was
this
a
entire
downright
time
polite.
I was just starting to get really upset. Like it became like past the like point of like frustration for me. I'm done with everything and now I'm pissed and angry.
Now I'm here for revenge, friends.
Just wanted to
You don't want to get on a young lady's bad side, that's for sure.
When she stops to care too, that's when you know. You're like, oh yeah, just backwards. I'm out, I'm good. I'll find some money some other way. No worries.
Yeah. This show is great. Like,
I really liked it a lot.
I really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's another absolutely solid offering for the hit list, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Well, this concludes another episode of the hit list. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us, and we hope you enjoyed Shop for Killers or playing. Sorry, we did warn you that we would be spoiling stuff, so don't come for us. We tagged our spoilers.
Hashtag spoiler.
Hashtag spoilers. Anyway, thank you for listening to us. We hope that you come back next week for our next episode. And maybe if you are just finding us for the first time, you can find all of our episodes wherever podcasts can be found. They're all on our YouTube channel, which is now us in video, not just audio. So if you like visual aids, YouTube's the place to be. Like and subscribe, friends. And also you can find all our stuff on our website, certifieddoonas.com. It's our home on the web, and it has pretty much all the links and time codes to every single episode we've ever done. And good times. It's good times over there on Certified Noonas. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/certified Noonas to, maybe send us a few dollars to keep doing what we do. We have extra little mini episodes all the time over there. We also have a movie night. We have little downloadables. We've got all sorts of fun over there for our fan family. We love them. And yeah, we love our community. We do live streams all the time on our YouTube, and you can always find us on social media. It's always at Certified Noonas. That's how you find us. Anyway, we hope you have a great week. And as we always say, wear a mask, wash your hands, and keep enjoying Asian entertainment. Bye.
Bye.